Oh, Catcoast has a question in chat about bread Astaire and bread in general, I think.
Oh, yes. So I have some bad news. Bread Astaire has been under repair for about a year almost.
Oh no.
Like-
Well, I did a bit. When we had that extra hour last year, I did a bit where I dumped a bunch of stuff in Bread Astaire. Like, and I had it all, inside. I was like, oh, Legos and, things like that, the extra hour. And one of my black Legos tumbled to the bottom, and I couldn't see it because of shadow and blackness. So the next time I went to make bread just for myself, it smelled like a kindergartner's horrible mistake.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I took Bread Astaire apart myself because I was like, I can do this. I couldn't to clean it, so I went to go and clean it, and because Bread Astaire is a very specialized, I imported it from Japan. So it's currently, I've taken it to a couple of repair shops and nobody doing anything, but then I found like this little old man who all he does is in his retirement is work on electronics, so Bread Astaire is with that.
Oh,
okay.
Yes, indeed.
He's gone to an expert.
Yes. Bread Astaire has gone to an expert. So that is what has happened to Bread Astaire. Bread Astaire still exists. Bread Astaire is in with an expert. But I have some things in the works.
Did you have to explain to this nice little old man how a Lego block got in your expensive Japanese bread maker?
I did have to explain that, as a matter of fact. But I lied.
Oh, did you say you had children?
I didn't. I said I had a friend who had children, because if you say you have children, that then invites questions. You see, the kernel of the lie has to just be a nugget of truth in order to avoid any follow-ups, as believable as possible for the other person to invent. I sound like a sociopath. For the other person to invent whatever story they want without actually questioning you.
Right.
Not that. I said, yeah, I had a friend's kid. I was making bread and they threw Legos in there. Oh, weird. Brr. No, I lied. I lied like a dog. Yeah, and they're not gonna watch this, so that's fine. Yeah.
No one's going to track down this kindly machine repair man. I'm thinking of him as like Geppetto, but for bread makers.
That was kind of my experience. Like, I went into this, he was like, yes, you just pull up and you go down the lane and then you just go over into you just knock on the door and I help you. And I was like, okay, cool. And I went in and he's like, hello. And it's like this little workshop with just no windows, just under, he's in the back of his house. And I walked in and it's just scattered parts everywhere to various things. And I'm like, okay. So there's a KitchenAid mixer and somebody's Roomba upside down looking like a dead beetle and a whole bunch of just weird electronic parts everywhere next to a very organized cabinet of tools. And he was just like, okay. And I set it down and he's like, what's the problem? And I told him what the problem was. It smells like plastic, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. And he writes a little ticket and he hands it to me. And I was just like, any estimate on time or what it'll cost? And he just went, no. And then waved me away and I left. And that's, I fully expect to try and drive by there and not actually have that house exist.
Right.
Again, yeah.
Right. 3 years from now, an old woman's going to show up with a crow on her shoulder and, answer me these questions 3 and
Yes.
bread maker you shall receive from me.
Mass. Yes. Yep. Yeah, yeah, so that's where Bread Astaire is. But I am making things by hand. Bread Astaire, by the way, if you look at Desert Bus last year, Bread Astaire is my Japanese bread maker. I made bread for Zeta Shift and dropped it off. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens this year. We'll have to see.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds ominous.
Good.
Working as intended.
Yes. Marvelous.
I love stories about extremely specialized craftspeople.
Oh.
Years ago, I bought a army surplus greatcoat. That I really liked, but it's army surplus and came in 3 sizes, and I got medium, and I needed to get it tailored to me, right?
Yeah.
And so I took it to a tailor shop, and the seamstress was like, she pinned it to me and said, okay, come back in a couple of days and it'll be ready. And then I went home and they got a phone call and saying, we need you to come pick up your coat because it broke our sewing machine.
What?
Because it's,
Well, yeah, it's a big, yeah.
yeah, it's army wool.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, we broke 2 needles and then the engine burned out. So I went and picked it up and she's like, you're
Osmosis?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
listened to a lot of.
Before we get... Sorry to catch
Oh,
you
I
off.
want to.
No.
We had a coat story.
Yeah.
yeah.
You were talking
Sorry.
about.
okay.
Big coat. I think
Vlad.
were you Vlad?
Yeah, I was told to take it to Vlad because Vlad does leather work. The seamstress was like, okay, your coat has broken my sewing machine, so I'm going to send you to Vlad, who works with leather. And if I were to tell you to picture a man named Vladimir who works with leather, I want you to conjure up a mental image of what that man looks like. Because I did, and I immediately imagined, like, I don't know, somebody who's about 6'5", plays a cello as a bass guitar, and has like mustachios.
Yeah, deep set eyes, intense gaze, widow's
Yeah.
peak, dark
Yeah.
hair swept back.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Looks-
guy who says like 3 words to you the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you go into his shop and it's just like weird leather harnesses hanging from the ceiling,
Yeah.
maybe with people in them, maybe without.
The people look happy though. They paid to be there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Keeps
Right?
pigs.
And so, like, I somewhat trepidatiously made an appointment to see Vlad and took in my coat. And as it turns out, he's a small man who is wearing a golf shirt tucked into sweatpants.
Classy.
Yeah, he was a small Russian man. And the leather that he traditionally works with are hockey pads.
Of
And he looked at my
course.
coat and he was like, yes, we can do this. And I don't know if he just welded it back into place or what, but like, yeah, it was really good work.
Grandpa?
Yes, we can do this.
Yeah.
You come back in 2 days.
Yeah,
It
he
is
looked
fine.
like he was here to fix the photocopier. Right?
That's I imagine him like picking it up and holding it, not looking at where it's torn, but just going like, yes, we can do this. Like, oh.
Anyway, yeah, if you need something tailored, go see Vlad. He's great.
Similar experience with this. Like, I actually called a couple of different places, and they were like, "No, you need this person." Yeah, I was like, "Cool, great, good." I cannot remember their name for the life of me. I think I wrote it down.
Oh, maybe did the spell mean that you can't repeat his name? Is it like a goblin kind of magic?
You know what? If I get Brett Astaire back in one piece, fine. Curse me, Daddy. I want my machine back.
There's a price that needs to be paid. Some may interpret that as a curse. Other people may interpret that as a contract with unfavorable terms.
Fair. Look, if I can make some frickin' brioche again, I'll be happy. Like, yeah, because you just put everything in, and then bread
you've got
happens,
a brioche.
and then brioche happens.
So buttery.
Yes. Well, you had some of my bread last year.
Oh, yeah, it was
Yeah.
delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got some of your bread. It was really good.
Yes, indeed. Yes. We're getting something again. But I'm gonna let Zeta figure that out. They're gonna know how much I love them.